Puerto Rico's biggest problem right now is that they aren't a state. We essentially won Puerto Rico in the Spanish-American War of 1898 and has been under U.S. jurisdiction for 117 years. But because it's not a state, it can't use U.S. bankruptcy laws, specifically Chapter 9, and reorganize its debts under bankruptcy protection. Puerto Rico's debt load is $73 billion and rising. They're trying to get Congress to vote on their ability to enter bankruptcy so they can negotiate with their creditors. But so far, Congress hasn't moved on any proposed legislation. Eventually, we'll see cascading defaults throughout Puerto Rico. It will get ugly if they can't reorganize and can't recapitalize their massive debt load. It's a matter of exposure. The only direct hit U.S. investors will get is if they bought high-yielding Puerto Rico bonds, specifically the so-called municipal bonds various entities floated across the Commonwealth. U.S. investors who own municipal bond mutual funds, not mutual funds in general, they don't hold muni bonds, though they can. There's no economic reason for them to. I'm talking about specifically muni bond funds. Those that own Puerto Rico paper have already taken a hit and will get hit more when defaults start rolling out. Some of the big muni funds that hold Puerto Rico paper are Franklin Templeton funds, which hold about $2.5 billion of that paper. Oppenheimer funds have about $4.5 billion in exposure. And there are others. Investors should check what they own and find out what's in those muni funds. Generally, what happens in Puerto Rico shouldn't ripple through stateside markets. However, we have to look at Puerto Rico and recognize that what's happening there can happen here. It's not impossible. And on the heels of Detroit's bankruptcy, for example, not only is it not impossible, but probable if mounting debts aren't managed and brought under control. Sure, there are two takeaways. One is standard rhetoric, the other will be a little bit controversial. The standard warning flag to raise is don't overspend. Don't debt finance what you can't afford to tax citizens to pay for. The other takeaway is that raising the minimum wage is a Trojan horse. Puerto Rico adheres to the U.S. minimum wage laws. They're too high. Employers there can't afford them and don't hire workers. Wages in Puerto Rico aren't competitive with Mexico or, say, the Caribbean countries that compete with Puerto Rico for tourism. So unemployment is high in Puerto Rico. That burdens the social services web and, of course, eliminates people from the tax rolls who would otherwise be paying taxes to support government debt payments on muni projects. We better look at what happened to Puerto Rico because of high wages and learn quickly that free market capitalism can't accommodate mandated artificially high wages for workers when competitors are out there willing to take and eat the lunch of those overpaid workers.